The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Want to remind you, listen to Hanson Scotty coming up on Wednesday. They'll have Kids on the Move in studio promoting the Hope in Motion Golf Invitational. This isn't just a golf tournament. It's a chance to drive real change for children with developmental disabilities in your community. All right, it's time to talk a little NBA draft, a little NBA in general. Joining the show now, she is a draft analyst. She is the color analyst for NBA Future Now on the NBA app and NBA TV. And she's our good friend, Krysten Peek. What's going on, Krysten?
Hey, how's it going?
Well, I'm much better than Ben, who crashed his car this morning. So it's,
no.
Yeah, I know. He's okay, by the way. But as I said that, I should say, he's fine. Everybody's fine. But he's got a picture of it up on online. He's not had a good morning, to put it simply.
Doesn't sound like it.
And I said this earlier. You're like his favorite guest, so he's missing out today. It's a bad day to be Ben. So, but
we miss you, Ben.
I appreciate you jumping on, Krysten, and especially since it's the first time we've talked to you since the NBA Draft Lottery,
or as I call it, the shaft.
Yes, the Jazz got the shaft, Krysten. Just how much did their bad luck cost them?
I don't know if I jinxed this because I was remembering the last time I came on and talked to you guys and they said, okay, where does the draft start? Like if we miss out on Cooper Flagg, where does the draft start? And I said, well, listen, 1 through 4, you are getting A-OK players, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, and VJ Edgecombe. The draft starts at 5. And then that's where the Jazz ended up. So, listen, just be glad that this isn't last year's draft and it's this year or next year. I understand, the Jazz are still in the rebuild process and they're still going to have, the luck of the draw next year, I'm assuming. So, the draft starts at 5. There's still some great options there. You hear the name Trey Johnson, Jeremiah Fears as a point guard, someone who can manipulate the pick and roll very well. I also, I'm going to shout out Yegor Demon. He is kind of creeping up at the right moment. His pro day in Chicago was incredible. And you want to talk about a player that the Jazz have had ample time to watch and over at BYU and kind of over scout. I mean, it would not surprise me at all if he's at play at 5.
How about Dallas falling out of nowhere to get the number 1 pick?
It is unbelievable. 1.8% chance, and I've explained this now a couple times. What that means is, at the draft lottery, there's 4 different combinations, and that means, and so there's 1,001 different combinations that every team in the lottery gets ahead of time. So the Dallas Mavericks only had 18 possible ping pong combinations, and they landed, on the lucky goose. And it was funny. I was talking to Kelly and Ralph Flagg, and they said after the draft lottery, I didn't even look at the roster construction. I had no idea what it meant for Dallas. Like we had heard Giannis, might be wanting to move out of Milwaukee. But then, of course, Nico Harrison came out and said, no, we very much plan on keeping this pick. Draft night comes around, we will be drafting Cooper Flagg. And so the rich get richer. And then, of course, the San Antonio Spurs landing at number 2. I mean, they've got guards for days now if they end up taking Dylan Harper. So it was shocking, to say the least. And I feel for Jazz fans.
Ben's pretty convinced that number 2 pick is going to be made by Milwaukee.
It very well could be. I mean, I'm sure Brian Wright will take that phone call, and I'm sure discussions will be made. Dylan Harper will be the 2nd pick. I don't know if it'll be the San Antonio Spurs taking it. But that can very well be at play. And, what do we do in the West if it's Giannis and Wemby on the court together? With De'Aaron Fox and Steph Castle, 2 back-to-back Rookie of the Years, I don't know what you do with that.
Yeah. How do you get to the rim against that combo? I don't think it's even possible. Yeah, right. You don't. So, maybe that's the wise move for San Antonio, who moves into kind of a win now scenario. But if you're Giannis, don't you want to stay in the East?
I don't know. I've heard Giannis was very, he was happy to look at teams with no state income tax, and that would be Texas. And also, he's got a young family, a wife and 4 young children. His wife, Mariah, just had another baby girl. So do you want to stay in the East? I don't know if that's the priority right now in his mindset. And Texas is looking really good, a smaller market in a win now scenario in San Antonio.
So the Draft Bozo on ESPN threw out a report today that Philly could possibly be interested in trading for Lauri Markkanen, and the number 3 pick could be in play in a possible deal. Any thoughts as to the value of that for either team?
Sure. Why not? I mean, Philly doesn't need Ace Bailey. Philly doesn't need VJ Edgecombe. So I'm sure that they're happy to shop around that pick to anybody that is interested in either one of those players.
Does Philly need to reboot? It doesn't look like they're going to, but should they?
I think something needs to happen. All these injuries are not good. I love Tyrese Maxey. I, of course, love Jared McCain. I saw Jared McCain at the draft lottery, and I said, Jared, doesn't it feel like you were just here at the Combine? And he said, KP, I'm having a little PTSD. That week was very stressful for me. So he was happy to be there on different business, but I love those 2 players. I don't know what they're going to do with Joel Embiid. And time's a ticking. If you're going to implode, it either had to be for this year's draft or next year's draft and what's coming up. I just called 6 games in the Nike EYBL, and the general consensus from NBA scouts on session 1 is that the talent pool is kind of dropped off a little bit. Of course, you have Tyron Stokes, Brandon McCoy. After that, you don't know what you're going to get in a draft 2-3 years from now. And so if you are going to implode, it needs to happen now.
Take this wherever you want to go with it, but what were the headlines, the highlights from the Combine for you?
The highlights were, I love the NBA Draft Combine because we always learn something, at least I do. You look at a player like Cedric Howard, who was at Washington State and decided to enter the transfer portal. He committed to Duke, but was still going to go through the NBA draft process. And he showed up. He tested out of the waters. He shot lights out. And I don't think he's going to step one single foot on campus at Duke. I think he's going to be a first-round draft pick. So he was a really nice surprise and a very, very nice kid. And so he's going to interview very well. And Maxime Reneau, during the scrimmage play, he was by far the best player on the court. And then we got a chance to talk to him afterwards, and very confident. You're asking him something like, "Oh, what's the best attribute to your game?" And he said, "My versatility." And he said, "And that's every aspect of my game." He said, "I am the best 7-foot-plus three-point shooter in NCAA history. Look it up. I've made more threes than anybody. I'm a pick-and-pop dream." So he was very, very confident, and he backed it up with the way he played on the scrimmages. So those 2 players specifically were the ones that really shined last week in Chicago.
This is just a journalist question, I guess, but how nice is it, or what's the Combine like for somebody with your job where you get to talk to everybody because they're in one place in one time? Let me give you an example. I love the Summer League from a weird journalist standpoint.
Yes.
Not that I am one, but there are a bunch of people around you. You get to talk. You get to find out what's going on. Everybody's right there. Do you have that same experience at the Combine?
Absolutely. I love the Draft Combine because you've got all executives and scouts from the NBA side in one place. You've got all the agents. So if you're chasing a story, if you want access outside of the media availability, all the agents are there. No one can hide. No one can run and hide. The lobby in the Marriott is where everything goes down. The players are coming back from dinner or agents or parents, and that's really where you get all the tea. But the NBA does a fantastic job. You get 20 minutes And even if no one is talking to a player during their media availability, the NBA makes them sit there for the full 20 minutes. So there's a lot of access, like you said. And it turned out at one point I was talking to Milos Uzin and I said, oh, did you have any workouts before this? And he's a projected, late second round pick, played very well in the NBA draft combine. And he said, yeah, I worked out in Dallas and Houston and also for Utah for the Jazz. And I said, oh, what was your best workout? And he said the Jazz. And so I went straight over to the beat reporters and I said, hey, you guys want to go talk to Milos? He said his best workout was with the Jazz. And so just you pick up on little things like that and really get to know these kids personally.
All right. Well, we got to have you handicap our conference finals here, Krysten. Who you liking?
I love this OKC team, just from top to bottom. I'm sorry. I cannot get enough of them. And then I'm like, is any team hotter than the New York Knicks right now? Come on. And just the entire fan base. I think that would be a very, very, very fun series if it was OKC and the New York Knicks.
They got to get past my Pacers first. You want to know who's hotter than the Knicks? My Pacers.
They are very hot right now. I love Tyrese Halliburton.
Oh man, he's great. When that trade happened with Sacramento and Indiana, that Sacramento wanted to trade Fox, and you can confirm or deny this if you know inside info, but Sacramento wanted to send Fox to Indiana. They said, it's Halliburton or nothing. And what a wise move that turned out to be.
Unbelievable. And Tyrese Halliburton is a player during COVID. Remember, he's part of the COVID draft. I spent 2.5 weeks in Las Vegas. They were doing kind of like a quarantine workout, just prepping for the draft. And I spent 2.5 weeks in the gym with him. And I said, I don't care where this kid ends up. He is going to be very special in the NBA. And look, I was right. And he's got a cute dog, Ames, and his girlfriend Jade is just lovely. I love everything about. And how about Andrew Nembhard? He's just like the playoff master. He did it last year. He's come alive this year. You're right. Maybe you've changed my mind. Maybe I do want the Pacers to win this series. I do love what the Pacers are doing.
Well, I automatically dislike the Knicks all the time, so that kind of helps. But I also love Pascal Siakam, man. New Mexico State, great.
Yeah, he's been great. I mean, this entire series, say what you want about small market teams, but between the Pacers and OKC and the way that they're rolling, it's been a really fun playoff run.
I think the West wins. I'm with you. I tend to lean toward OKC having the advantage against Minnesota, but I actually think either one of those teams should win whoever comes out of the East.
We're gonna get a treat between two of the best guards, the young guards between Anthony Edwards and Shea. So sign me up. Get your popcorn. I'm excited.
Yes, please. I totally agree. Krysten Peek, we appreciate you, all of your work. We're going to be following you religiously leading up to the draft, and hopefully we'll hear from you soon.
Sounds good. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks, Krysten.